Chapter 40. I didn't know you'd be here, Rimuru said, looking at Luminos, who was waiting at the front. She came rushing at him and hugged him tightly. See, it wasn't even 1,000 years, Rimuru said as he patted her head. She nuzzles into his chest as she took in his scent. I miss you, Luminos whispered under her breath. After minutes of just standing there, they both went inside to greet the others. Rimuru-chan, long time no see, my souvenirs. Sylvia waved while seating at Rimuru as he entered the room. Rimuru-kun, my, do you have some new samples for me? Twilight asked, looking at Rimuru excitedly. All of the original members of the facility when he was first invited are all here. Sylvia and Luminos should have already left and are managing their kin, similar to what Gurren is doing. And yet they are here right now. Rimuru smiled, he tossed them both something. Yeah. Catch it then. The two dived as they caught the present given by Rimuru. He almost laughed out loud in how comical they both jumped out of their seats to catch their souvenirs. Yes, Tilda. New blood samples, Twilight said as he raised it up with both his hands. Is it a new species? I can't wait to find out, Tilda. A core. Sylvia meanwhile was looking at her gift confused. What's this? She looked towards Rimuru, showing the core in her hand. Rimuru grinned. What he gave her was a core that he used for the bodies of the primordials, albeit an inferior version. Figure it out yourself, it would ruin the surprise. Also, Siren said hi. I see, that's true, finding out is half the fun. Sylvia held the core intently as she looked at every detail. Siren-chan seems to be doing well. Rimuru felt tapping in his arm, he looked and saw Luminos. He leaned in and Luminos whispered. Do I have any souvenir? Rimuru leaned into her ear. I'll give it to you later in your room. Rimuru teased as he smiled slyly, flapping the collar of his clothes. Luminos blushed and looked down as the others run around trying to study their gifts. It never gets old seeing everyone's old antics still showing, Rimuru said as he sat down. A cup of tea was placed in the table for him. Thanks, Gunther, Rimuru said as he looked to the old-looking vampire. Gunther bowed. Rimuru gave his gift to the old-looking vampire as well. He guessed he wouldn't want anything, so instead he gave him some rare tea leaves that Luminos might like. Thank you very much, Rimuru-sama. Gunther bowed, appreciating Rimuru's gift for him. I'm sure Luminos-sama would love this. Once everyone's antics finishes, they all started returning back to their original post. Well then, I'll be going to my room for a bit, Sylvia waved as she rushes to her room holding the core. Same here, if you need anything. I'm at my office. Twilight soon followed, leaving the room. Rimuru and Luminos sighed, watching the two basically play with their new toys in their individual rooms. Somehow, I never get bored with that, Rimuru said, looking at the door. I'll disagree there, Luminos argued. The two soon left the room with Gunther letting the two have their alone time together after so long. Meanwhile, Luminos and Rimuru had a small get-together in her room that night. The vampire put the unique skill she previously acquired into full use. The next day, the fourth day of Rimuru's vacation, so to speak. Rimuru, are you up? Rimuru sat down in bed. Yeah, I'm here, Vel grinned. I'm on my way to Lei, we'll be going on ahead. Sure, let's hope the others haven't destroyed too many universes while we were gone. Rimuru joked as he yawned. Yeah, let's hope. Anyway, I'm going now. See you in 4 days. Same here, see you in 4 days. Rimuru got up from the bed and put on his clothes. He felt a sting in his neck. Then he recalled something last night. Ah, that's right. No pain nullification and no regeneration last night. Rimuru muttered as he remembered the rule they had last night. Up already, huh? Luminos said as she lay in bed looking at him, as expected from the demon with near infinite stamina. Thanks for the compliment, Rimuru grinned. Though you didn't seem to mind. And with that conversation, the day started. Rimuru and Twilight walked in the hallway. How are the Pharaohs? Rimuru asked as they walked through the facility. A young man with flame-like crimson hair divided by two red horns walking behind Twilight and Rimuru. He is the first Pharaoh to be created by Twilight. We have been doing our job splendidly. Our numbers increased to 15. They are being revered in some parts of the continent as guardian deities, answered Ashley, the Pharaoh ancestor. Upon seeing his strength, Twilight named him and gave him the role of his bodyguard. Twilight asked with a glance. How about you, the east that you left behind to your subordinates? From the reports, multiple nations have popped up made by humans. After that, I ordered them to return to Citadel. I need all the manpower I have after all. Rimuru shrugged, not caring. Guess that's Rimuru-kun for you, though I think Plerix has been terrorizing some of them. Twilight sighed as he shook his head. Rimuru didn't care, can't be helped, he is a night stalker after all. Too bad such a being turned into a failure. Plerix is the ancestor of the night stalker, or the first prototype of vampires. However, they were deemed by Twilight as failures and have been tasked with menial tasks. Plerix has been in the facility long before Rimuru came. He was unfortunately always away for gathering resources and managing his people. They are after all not immune to sunlight, forcing them to create their settlements underground. Rimuru has met Plerix a few times but never actually spoken with him. Though like with Jahil, it seems Plerix also hates Luminos. Rimuru also knows that the feeling is mutual. Another fact is Gunther is actually the younger brother of Plerix, with Gunther now leading the modern vampires under Luminos. Well, they can fend for themselves, I help build their nations. They should be fine protecting them, on their own. Rimuru shrugged, not caring for the safety of the humans. About the fair Onus not here, has there been other developments? Rimuru directed the question to Ashley. Another species was made out of the fair Onus, it seems some of them had intercourse with humans. That created what Twilight Sama has called the Kijin. Ashley answered Rimuru's question. Kijin, a step down from the fair Oni, I assume. Rimuru turned his face towards Twilight. Twilight nodded. They're much weaker, but still strong to survive on their own. I see, well if they can survive that's good enough. Rimuru nodded to himself. The trio finally reached the room filled with capsules full of humans and animals. Rimuru with a side glance towards Twilight asked. So, Twilight, how's the progress on the beast people? Rimuru asked as he looked through the sampled bodies inside the capsules. Well Tilda, I wouldn't say good nor bad, Rimuru-kun, answered Twilight as he looked through them with furrowed brows. Oh, Rimuru looked towards Twilight, and why is that? He asked. I have made some beast people, although only around 2 race. Twilight showed 2 fingers. The lion beastman and the harpy race. Thanks to the harpy blood sample you gave me and the Nemean lion blood, I had a breakthrough. I see, good to know. Although the giant samples I gave you halted on making them for centuries. Rimuru smiled, remembering Twilight's reaction when Rimuru gave the samples that he got. Oh, Tilda, this will help me very much, Tilda. Well, the giants were the first goal anyway. Twilight shrugged, it took longer to recreate them. Good thing we made them a bit weaker, Rimuru said with a bitter smile. Or else the balance that Guy keeps complaining about would be ruined even further. Rimuru, just imagining it, chuckled, Guy with a pissed expression trying to hold a headache. Personally I don't care what that mediator has to say. But it would be a problem if chaos ensues from the change in power balance. Twilight stated matter-of-factly. Rimuru and Ashley both nodded in agreement. They continued their research for the day. As they do their work, Rimuru spoke. Twilight, how long do you think before you finish the beast man race? Rimuru glanced at Twilight. Twilight mulled as he stopped writing, placing the end of his pen to his chin. I've only made 2 variation, and considering how many animals there are. Give me 200 or 300 years, why? Twilight answered, looking at Rimuru. Why the sudden question? I have a favor to ask. Rimuru said as he looked at Twilight. A favor, is it? Twilight repeated with his interest peaked. Make more Enkis and Siren, I need more manpower. Rimuru simply said. He opened his mouth then closed again. He repeated it multiple times until he finally spoke. I realize when Zelenus showed up how few my forces are. Rimuru admitted while clenching his fist. While quality triumphs quantity, if the enemy has multitudes of forces it's over. Especially since I can't cover a lot of ground. Making more of them guess I could do that. Twilight crossed his arms. But, it'll take a long time to make a lot. Twilight guessed Rimuru would want at least thousands on a minimum if not millions. However, he doesn't have the time nor the resources to waste for such a favor. That's the idea. I made a facility similar to this one in Citadel. All you need to do is merge them with your intrinsic skill, Ancestor. Rimuru used thought communication to show Twilight. In the vision, a large facility is being constructed using both magisteel and magically induced cement. That's a good idea. All I need is to regularly visit to synthesize them and leave the rest to you. Twilight nodded as he saw Rimuru's setup. What about the spirits? He asked, the most important variable for this operation to succeed. Oh, I'll contact Ramirez and see if I could get a steady supply of spirits. Since you know, low-level spirit are large in numbers and naturally spawn. Rimuru pointed out, dispelling any doubt on Twilight's mind. If you're only asking for low-level ones, she wouldn't mind that much. Twilight agreed on Rimuru's idea. A knock could be heard from the door. The two looked and saw Gunther. Apologies Twilight-sama, Rimuru-sama seems to have a visitor. He bowed a bit apologetically for disturbing them as they talked. Me, Rimuru pointed at himself confused. Who would visit him right now? Velgrind and Lei are at home after all. It's the primordial blue, Gunther said. Rain Tan, Rimuru said confused. He went to the entrance and saw Rain. Rain rushed to Rimuru and grabbed him by the collar. Why didn't you give me some of that wine? She shouted half crying as she held his collar. Guy-sama, Guy-sama keeps telling me how good it was. At first I thought he was teasing me, but... Even Velzard-sama and Velgrind-sama agreed with him. Rain cried as she swung Rimuru back and forth. I was planning on giving you some, Rimuru said trying to calm her down. They just drank it all. She stops for a second and cried even louder. That's unfair, unfair. I wanted to taste it too. I wanna get drunk with the alcohol you all had. I'll try getting some for you on my next visit. Rimuru tried to calm her down. He took out a wine bottle. Here, it isn't what I gave them, but it should still be good. Rain quickly took the bottle and stashed it away. Rimuru Kai, I knew you're the best. I'll be waiting for that wine, okay? Rain said as she teleported away. Rain actually left without any notice from everyone on the frozen continent. She plans to return before Misery caught her slacking and sneaking out for alcohol. Unfortunately for her, she got caught and had her wine confiscated until she finished her chores. Well, that just happened, Rimuru said as he stand there. Rimuru then decided to head back inside. Oh Rimuru-kun, so what was it about? Twilight asked as normally the primordial blue would only come here with Guy. Nothing really important, just some personal matter. Rimuru answered, not mentioning the pathetic appearance Rain just showed. Rimuru continued work in the facility, helping everyone with the progress of the Beastman race. Now that I think about it, Rimuru said as he carries supplies with Sylvia. Shouldn't you be out governing your kin's elves? Sylvia looks at Rimuru annoyed. Tisk, 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 Rimuru-chan, a person needs to have some rest from work. We are doing the exact same thing here. You're also on a break from work? Rimuru asked looking at Sylvia as they enter one of the rooms. More like she ran away from work. Luminos, who overheard, corrected as she also went in to help. She's here majority of the time than where she is supposed to be. I had some elves come to me just to find her whereabouts about the state of their nation. Lumi-chan, tilde, that's not nice. Sylvia faked crying as she placed the supplies down. They can handle it without me. I don't have interest of governing them. That's why your kins are spread out, Luminos sighed. They don't stay in their own territory. But Gu-chan's people are the same, right? Sylvia said, pointing out Guren, who is leading his territory as its king. Dwarves are well known all over the globe, with each nation at least having a few hundred as their professional artisan for different types of work like blacksmithing, masonry, or carpentry. That's only for a few of them, Luminos pointed out. Majority stay with Guren. Guren has a territory worth more than tens of millions of dwarves as its population. Unlike Sylvia's territory, that only has a maximum of 1 million. The rest are spread out, making their own territory and settlements. As the two continue to debate and argue, Rimuru, who was watching from the side, finishes what he needed to do and left. Rimuru looked for Twilight, finding him in the room filled with caged animals. Rimuru-kun, can I help with something? Twilight, I finished my task. I'm going to Ramirez now. You okay with that? To be continued.